والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن والاه أما بعد. And we are still doing our review, because going any further would make much sense until we know that we're grasping the previous concept. So here, last week we had Nasbu al-Fi'l Mudari', meaning those words that come before the Fi'l Mudari', become before the present tense verb. And they were an, lan, idhin, and kay. An, lan, idhin, and kay. Right? These four words appear before a present tense verb. It's going to make it mansoob. Okay? And means that. Lan is a negation of the future. Idhin is conditional. Like someone says to you, I'm going to come to Memphis. You say, then you will stay at my house. Right? Then conditional. Right? And K means so that. If any of these words appear before a present tense verb, they're going to make it mansoob. In this lesson, we're going to learn words which, when appear before a present tense verb, a fi'l mudari', it's going to make it majzoom. It's going to make it majzoom, meaning with a sukoon, or what's equal to a sukoon. What do we mean by that? Is we mean that there are words, right? Our normal word, a normal noun, is always going to have a dhamma at the end. Or, as we learned in the beginning of section 2, which we're not there yet in our review yet, that there is a case of being marfu'. Something is marfu', and there is a case of something being mansoob, and there is majroor, and there is majzoom. Right? Now, the normal sign, or the original sign for marfu' is a dhamma, or dhammatain. For mansoob is a fatha, or fathatain. For majroor is a kasra, or kasratain. Right? And for majzoom is a sukoon. That's the original sign. That's the asl. That's the foundation. But there comes times when something being marfu', the sign could be an alif, or could be a waw, or could be a noon. Right? Something being mansoob could be a ya. Right? Something being majroor could be a fatha. Right? It could be a ya. It could be here, it could be what we call hadf noon. Right? Hadf noon. To drop the noon. We could have all of that, right? Sukoon could be hadf noon as well, right? But the original sign, the foundation is a sukoon, but there could be words. Let me give you an example. Right? We have the word Muslim. I'm just going to give you an example of marfu' so I can erase this other stuff for now. Huh?
I want to see this.
Take a picture of it with your phone, man.
Zoom. All right.
One second.
Huh?
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna since you're gonna write it down.
I got it.
I know. I'm gonna give you all the signs of everything, right? For Dhamma, for Marfu, the origin or the asl is a Dhamma. But there could be, in place of that Dhamma, there could be a Waw, or an Alif or a Noon. When it comes to Nasb, it can be a Fatha, which is its origin, or it can be an Alif, right? Or it can be a Kasra. I'll write them all in the order of Ajamiyya. It could be a Fatha, or it could be an Alif, or it can be a Kasra, or it can be a Ya, or it can be a Hadf Noon.
Wait a minute, you confused me now. What you talking about?
This is on Mansub.
I thought it'd be Kesra, a Fatha Tain. Or
that's
Kesra.
fine. That's fine. The Mansub is going to be its sign for now. Its origin, its foundation is going to be in Fatha or Fatha Tain.
Okay.
Here it could be, or the sign could be the sign that it is Mansub. I don't know why it's not writing good. The sign that it could be Mansub could also be an Alif, or a Ya, or a Kasra, or Hadaf Noon. As for Majroor,
So, not a Wow. Okay, now Aleph, yeah.
not for Mansub. Not
Okay,
for Mansub. This is for Marfu only.
Okay, Aleph, yeah, and what?
Alif, Ya, Kasra, Hadaf Noon. But the original sign is a Fatha.
Yeah.
So there are 4 what we call Nawab or Naib. Then they are substitutes or replacements. Right? For Majroor, it could be a Fatha. The original sign is a Kasra, or it could be a Fatha or a Ya. Right? And as for Majzoom, it could be a Sukun or Hadaf Noon. Right?
Hadaf Noon.
Hadaf Noon, meaning you drop the Noon. We'll go over all of it, inshallah. Okay, now let's look at an example, just so you can see what I'm talking about. Get another page, that way if you need to go back and look at it, then we will. Okay, we have Marfu'. Right? Okay. We have 3 signs, or 4 signs. We have a Dhamma, right? We have a Waw. We have an Alif. And we have a Noon. Right? Now what?
For Marfu.
For Marfu. These are for Marfu words. So for example, we have Muslim. Right? Muslimun. Right? Our sign for Marfu here is our Dhamma. Then we have a Waw. So the Waw can be, for instance, Abu, like in Abu Huraira. Right? Abu. That's our sign of being Marfu'. because it could be abi or aba. So the waw is there. Also, if we say muslimuna, then that's our sign of being marfu, because it could be muslimina, right? If it's mansub or majroor, it becomes muslimina, right? As for the alif, then we say, for instance, kalimatan, kalimatani, right? This is our sign of being marfu. Otherwise, it would be kalimataini. Kalimataini, if it's mansub or majroor. And for when it is hadaf an-nun, right? Then one second, let me think.
And all of these are nouns.
Right. Then, for instance, hadaf an-nun. This is noon. I put noon. I meant hadaf an-nun there, right? I put noon. I meant hadaf an-nun. No, not hadaf an-nun. Asif. I'm sorry. That's not this. This is for mansub, not for us. For noon, then we have, for instance, yaf'aluna, in a verb form. Yaf'aluna, right? Yaf'aluna, right?
Well, what about the wow?
No, this is up here. In a noun, it's the wow. In a verb, yaf'aluna, yaf'alani, right? Taf'aluna, taf'alani, taf'alina, right? Called the af'al al-khamsa. Then is the noon is our sign here, right? In a verb, when it is plural or dual for third person, second person, or for female second person. So for instance, yaf'aluna, yaf'alani, taf'aluna, taf'alani. These are yaf'alunas up above, right? And then taf'alina. Right? All of these is the sign. The sign for them being marfu is the noon. Now, when they become majzoom, right? Then we have signs over. When they become mansub, then the sign could be that we drop that noon here, because it's in front of a fi'l mudari, a present tense verb, right? Our sign, for instance, can be musliman. Right? If we want to talk about mansub, it could become musliman. And now our sign is a fatha, which is right here. Right? Our fatha. And then it could be, as for the alif, it could be, like we said, where's my, I keep going, aba. Right? Aba. This alif here, from abu, become aba. In the right position, right? As for the kasra, then we could say muslimatin, right? We're making it a kasra. It could be muslimatin, right? This is our sign of being a mansub here, and all of this. So these signs are our original sign is here on the right side of this right column. But they can be substituted or replaced with these other signs depending on what type of word you're using. So for instance, this alif is a sign of marfu when a word is dual. Right? Kalimatan, habibatan, like that, right? That's a sign of being dual, two words. Then the Dhamma is the sign for regular nouns. It's also the sign for and when you get into Ajramiyya, you can look up and find that, for instance, each of these signs has a number of positions. So, for instance, the Dhamma is the sign for marfu' in 4 cases. In the singular noun, such as in Muslim, right? And in the Jam'u Taksir, such Jam'u Taksir, for instance, we have Bait, right? And then Baytun, and then you have Buyutun. If it's a Jam'u Taksir, where the noun is broken up, it's not a clear, like Muslim, Muslimuna, then the sign is going to be a Dhamma for being marfu'. It's also marfu' in female plural, such as in Muslimatun. It's female plural, sound plural. And the fi'l mudari, that nothing is in front of it. So, yajlisu, as an example, right? There's nothing in front of it, so it's got that Dhamma there. That's a sign of it being marfu'. Now, the alif can be the sign of being marfu' when you have 2 things, like kalimatan. The wow can be the sign of being marfu' when it is plural sound, masculine, like Muslimuna, right? Or Abu, right? And so basically 2 cases. 2 cases as we wrote here. When you have Abu or Muslimuna, right? Plural sound, masculine, right? Then the alif we already said is when it's dual, and the noon is when there's a fi'l mudari and there's nothing attached to it, right? Meaning at the end, right? There's nothing attached to it, right? So then yaf'aluna, yaf'alani, taf'aluna, taf'alani, taf'alina. So these 5. And then kalimatan is 1 case when the alif is there. For the wow, it's 2 cases. And the Dhamma, it's actually 4 cases. For the Dhamma is actually 4 cases. And you learn all of this. But it takes focus and review over and over and over. So that's why we're doing a review over and over and over. So now, the jazm of the fi'l mudari. We learned that yesterday, or last week rather, that the nasb of the fi'l mudari, we learned 4 words that will make it mansub: an, lan, idhin, and kay. So when we say uridu, uridu an adhaba, now we said, when we were just reviewing here, we said the fi'l mudari, that nothing is in front of it, like yajlisu, we gave the example, it's going to be marfu'. So we look here, uridu, there's nothing in front of it, right? So therefore, it's marfu'. Uridu is marfu' with a dhamma. But an is one of our 4 nawasib, our 4 words which make a noun, a verb, a present tense verb, mansub. So when an appears before adhab, it becomes adhaba. Now, we're going to learn in this chapter, and len, idhin, and kay are similar. And len, idhin, and kay, same thing. If I said, اذهبوا, for instance, اذهبوا إلى السوق. اذهبوا إلى السوق. I'm going to the marketplace. Right? اذهبوا, nothing in front of it. اذهبوا is a fi'l mudari, it's marfu' with a dhamma. If I say لن أذهب, right? لن أذهب إلى السوق. I'm not going to the souk. Because of the lan, my adhabu became adhaba. It's mansub after the word lan. So on and so forth with idhin and kay, right? Which we had examples of last week. Now, these are words which are majzoom. These are words which are majzoom. So, the first example, lam yahfaz Muhammadun darsahu. Lam yahfaz Muhammadun darsahu. Muhammad did not memorize his lesson. Yahfaz became yahfadhu became yahfaz with a sukoon because of lam. Lam is a negation of the past tense verb, or it's a negation of a past tense, but it uses a present tense verb. Lam appears before a present tense, but it means together the negation of the past. So Muhammad did not memorize his lesson. Muhammad is the fa'il, marfu', darsahu, mansub, maf'ulun bihi. Lam yahfaz Muhammad darsahu. Lam yanqati'u nuzul al-matar. Yanqati' is to cut, or to, basically to cut off, right? Lam yanqati' nuzul al-matar. Nuzul al-matar, the falling of the rain, did not stop, did not cut off. It did not, it hasn't ended. It did not quit, right? Lam yanqati'. It should be yanqati'u, but because of lam yanqati'. Yaqbidu becomes lam yaqbid with a sukoon. Ahadun ala las. Yaqbid means to capture or arrest. Ahadun, no one captured or arrested ala las, on the thief. No one came upon him, no one arrested the thief, right? So lam, when it appears before a present tense verb, a fi'l mudari', it makes it majzoom. Any questions?
Well, this ain't really this sort of got something to do with it, but like on the second one there, nuzul. Okay, without because it don't have a dhamma over the zah. But I usually would try to put a dhamma over that letter because of the followed by the wow.
Exactly. That's why they don't put it on there, because it's known what it is due to the wow.
Okay.
It's the same way as if you wrote kalimatan. I'm trying to see if it's here somewhere. Like on la, here they put it here, but a lot of times they don't put it, like right there. They don't put it. Why? Because that aleph lets you know that it's a fatha, right? And the same thing for instance, a ya. I could find one. This one's a little bit different because it's a fatha there. But
okay, what about this one here, like the yakbidu, or yakbid?
You just have to know that one. I mean, this book is not fully vowelized, but for instance,
I just wondering, yeah.
Right, but like kathir, A lot of times they won't put a kasra here. Why? Because this ya lets you know that it should be
Yeah.
a kasra there.
Yeah, yeah.
The alif is associated with a fatha, and the wow is associated with a dhamma, and the ya is associated with a kasra. They go hand in hand. So whenever you see that nuzul, then that's a way to know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So lam, when it appears before fi'l mudari, it is majzoom. La ta'kul wa anta shab'an. Don't eat and you are full. La tukthir min ad-dahik. Don't do too much. Don't be abundant in laughing. La tusri' is-sayr. Don't be fast in your movements, basically. This la is the la of negation, la of An-Nahw, a negation, right? A prohibition, telling you don't do it. A nahi, not a nafi. La nafi, nafi is negating that it happens. For instance, you know, whatever, just negating something. La salat illa salat al-maktuba. La ilaha illallah. That's a negation of that. This is a negation. Here, this is a prohibition. This la is the la of prohibition. Right? Don't eat. Don't be abundant. Don't go fast. Right? And it makes that fi'l mudari majzoom. Right? And then the next one we have in taftah nawafidha al-hujrati yatajaddad hawa'uha. If you open the windows of the room, the wind will be renewed. Basically, you'll get fresh air. In tajlis fi majray al-hawa tamrad. If you sit in the path of the wind, basically in like a hallway where wind is running through, you'll get sick.
Question.
And go ahead.
On the first one there, when you get to you said hujrati,
Right.
and they don't have a sukoon over the gene, so it's like known. That's just the word, or what?
I mean, eventually, Abdullah, all of it's known without no vowels. All of it's known. The book is not fully vowelized, right?
I know that. I'm saying, but because I don't have a sukoon, I'm talking about. Because I thought you were saying like in a lot of stuff, manuscripts where they don't have vowels, they do have sukoons and shaddas.
No, they'll have, even when they don't have vowels, they'll have, if it's a word that is strange, then they will have the vowel on it. For instance, if this word could be, for instance, ya'kulu, it could be ya'kulu, or it could be yu'kalu. Right? And it would change the meaning. One is passive and one is active. And it could affect the meaning in a major way. Then they'll put the one they want on there. Or if it's a really strange word that's not used very often, then they'll put the vowels on there. Right? But other than that, they normally don't put the vowels on there. So hujra is just, like I said, the book is not fully vowelized. Hawa here is missing almost all the vowels. Fi doesn't have anything. Yusafir is missing something. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I understand that, but I was just wondering, if that was the case. Because, like I said, I thought you had told me one time that, when they don't vowel know if a book don't have the vowels in it. I know you said a strange word they do, but I was thinking that you said that they'll put the shaddas and they put sukoons.
No, the shadda will be there, but not a sukoon though. But a shadda will be there. A shadda should probably be there.
Okay.
That's, you know, yeah, I mean, a shadda is going to be there. Unless it's the shadda for like a sun letter. You know, for instance,
Yeah.
a sama.
Yeah.
They're not going to probably go write that shadda there. There's no need for it because we know that this scene after the alif lam is mushaddada and the lam is silent. But if it's in the middle of a word, then they'll write it. But if it's after that alif lam for the sun letters, then they're probably not going to write that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you'll have ar-Rahman, and they won't put a shadda there. They don't need to do so, you know?
No.
Okay. So, in taftah nawafid al-hujrati yatajaddad hawa'uha. If you open the windows of the room, then the air will be refreshened or renewed. In tajlis fi majray al-hawa. If you sit in the wind tunnel, like a gangway between houses where the wind is blowing hard, tamrad, you'll get sick. In yusafir akhuka tusafir ma'ahu. If your brother travels, then travel with him. If your brother travels, then travel with him. Now, let's read the bahth, which means we're going to go over the rules there and then see the rule. Okay. يشتمل كل مثال من أمثلة الستة الأولى. These first 6 examples contain على فعل مضارع, a present tense verb, قبله أحد الحرفين, before it one of the 2 particles, lam or la. Right? The first 6 sentences, they had present tense verb before it, lam or la. ويدل الحرف الأول على النفي الفعل في زمن الماضي. And the first one shows the negation of the fi'l, the action, in the past tense. As we said, lam appears before a fi'l mudari, making it negation of the past tense. ويفيد الحرف الثاني نحي المخاطب عن الفعل. And the second fi'l, second harf, the second particle, la, benefits us the prohibition of the one you're talking to from doing the action. So la ta'kul, la tajlis, so on and so forth. وإذا تأملت آخر كل مضارع مسبوق بأحد هذين الحرفين في هذه الأمثلة وفي غيرها وجدته مجزوما. And if you were to contemplate the ends of these present tense verbs, kullu mudari, each of these, which is preceded by one of these 2 particles, lam and la, right? In these examples and other than them, you will find that that fi'l mudari is majzoom. لكنك إذا حذفت هذا الحرف وجدته مرفوعا. But if you were to get rid of this particle, lam or la, of nahi, then you will find that it is marfu'. It would go back to being tajlisu, ta'kulu, so on and so forth. ومن ذلك نرى أن كلا من هذين الحرفين من هذين أن كل من هذين الحرفين إذا دخل على المضارع جزم آخره. So then we see that if we were to take away that la and that lam, that if we were to take it away,
for 40 years of our life and then retire and get pennies on the dollar from what we're supposed to retire.
you're watching the news at the same time. So we see if we take away that lam and that la, that it makes the verb go back to its original form, which is marfu'. Then we see that when each of these two particles is put on a present tense verb, that the end of that verb becomes majzoom, takes a sukoon. وَإِذَا تَأَمَّلْتَ الْأَمْثِلَةَ الثَّلَاثَةَ الْأَخِيرَةَ, and if you were to contemplate over the last three examples, وَجَدْتَ كُلَّ مِثَالٍ منها مبدوءا بالحرف إن. And if you were to look at these three, then you would find that each sentence begins with, each example, the sentence begins with the particle in. ومشتملا على فعلين مضارعين, and it contains two present tense verbs, مجزومين, both of them being majzoom. حصول الأول منهما شرط في حصول الثاني. The getting the first one being majzoom is basically the result is that the second one is majzoom as well. If you do the first one, then the second one will happen. So basically it's talking about it's a conditional sentence. If you do the first one, the second one is going to take place. So if you open the windows of the room, the air will renew. In taftah, with a sukoon on the ha. Ghurfata al-nawafid al-hujurati, if you open the windows of the room, right? Yatajaddad, with a sukoon on the dal. Yatajaddad hawa'uha, then the wind will be renewed. So if you do the first one, the second one will happen, right? So he says فَفَتْحُ نَوَافِذ, so opening the windows, في مثال الأول, in the first example, مثلا شرط في تجدد الهواء, is a condition for the renewing or the refreshing of the air. والذي أفاد الشرط وجزم كلا من الفعلين هو إن, and the thing which makes it conditional and the thing that would make each of the two verbs majzoom is in. وَلِذَلِكَ تُسَمَّى in, and so due to that, in is called harfu shart wa jazm. It's called in. This in here is called a particle of shart, of condition, wa jazm, and making it majzoom. ويسمى الفعل الأول فعل شرط, and the first fi'l مضارع, in تفتح, in that example there, that's called fi'l shart. That's called fi'l, huh?
Which one you on?
What do you mean which one? I'm down here. I'm reading down here.
Okay.
The first example, in taftah nawafid al-hujrati yatajaddad hawa'uha. This first fi'l, in taftah, is called fi'l shart. It's called fi'l shart, the verb of condition. And the second fi'l, wa fi'l thani, jawab al-shart, is called the answer of the condition. So in taftah, that's the fi'l which is the condition, right? What happens if I open? Yatajaddad hawa. Then that's the answer to the condition, right? That's all extra speech for us right now that we don't necessarily have to know what those two names are, but the more of these you learn, the more of these grammar terms you learn, then the better. Al-Qawaid. The rules. We have three basic rules here. يجزم الفعل المضارع إذا سبقه حرف الجازم كالحروف الآتية وهي لام ولا الناهية وإن. Okay, the fi'l mudari becomes majzoom if a harf jazm appears before it like the ones that follow. And they are lam, la nahiya, which we said is the la of prohibiting something, and in. So what do we learn from this sentence? Ka, this word ka is important to us. This word ka here is important to us. Like the following particles or huruf. That means there are more than these three. But these three are the main ones, and that's why he's bringing them now. But there are more than that. Lam, la nahiya, and in. If they appear before fi'l mudari, it's majzoom. Lam wa la nahiya tajziman fi'lan mudari'an wahid. Lam and la nahiya, they make one fi'l mudari' majzoom. One. والحرف الأول ينفي حصول الفعل في الماضي. And the first one, the first particle, meaning lam, it negates the occurrence of an action in the past. والثاني ينهى عن عمل الفعل. And the second one, meaning لا الناهية, it prohibits the action, the doing of the action. What in, put it in quotations there, تجزم فعلين. It makes two verbs مجزوم. وتفيد أن حصول الفعل الأول شرط في حصول الفعل الثاني. And the benefit we have from that is that if the first fi'l is or occurs, right, then that is a condition for the second fi'l to occur. That's a condition for the second fi'l to occur if the first one occurs. So if you come to class and study hard, you will benefit, right? So if you come to class, that's the first one, right? Benefit, you will learn Arabic, for instance, then that is the second one, right? But you have to come to class to benefit, not necessarily this class, but you have to come to class. So that's what we can get from them three rules. Now if we go back up, we can look after reading all of that, and we can look at our examples one more time, and hopefully it all makes a bunch of sense now. Oh, yep, there we go. لم يحفظ محمد درسه. Muhammad did not memorize his dars. This is a present tense verb, but because lam came in front of it, it negates it in the past tense, and it makes it majzoom. That's the purpose of lam. La ta'kul wa anta shab'an. Don't eat and you are full. La ta'kul. It tells you and prohibits you from doing something, and it makes the fi'l majzoom. In tajlis fi majray al-hawa, if you sit in the place of the wind blowing, tamrad, right, you will get sick. So in tajlis, this in makes two fi'ls majzoom. We have one in taftah, right? If you open, yatajaddad hawa, both of them are majzoom. In
because of the end.
because of the in. In tajlis, if you sit in the wind, tamrad, alaykum salam, you'll get sick. In yusafir, akhuka tusafir ma'hu, travel with him. If your brother travels, travel with him.
That sounds like, I guess, like a certain condition for that to be there like that.
No, all conditions almost always are going to be majzoom. All conditional phrases, even if it's other than in, is going to be majzoom. All conditional phrases. So for instance, Allah says, فَاذْكُرْنِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ. Remember me and I'll remember you. He doesn't say, اذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرُكُمْ. He says, فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ. Both of them become medzum because of addition there. So, this condition is always going to be, but here, the examples brought is for lam, la, and nahiya, and in. And in is called in a shart, harf shart with jazm. Because it's conditional, and it makes it medzum, and it does two verbs. Yep.
Yeah. That's the part I was talking about, the two verbs.
Yeah, even same thing. Azkurkum, fadhkuruni, azkurkum, it's two verbs. You remember me, I'll remember you. Yeah. And there are plenty of examples in the Quran. Last time we did this, me and Muharram found a bunch of them, you know. Sometimes they got ma, it's called ma ashart, right? Ma ashartiya, right? Which is, does the same thing. You have men, right? I'm trying to think of one with men. Men amana. Men, for instance, men amana, or I can't think of it right now, but there's conditions. Whoever does this, right? But inshallah. So next week, let's see what we're going to be on. Where's our bath? Where's it at? What happened to it? Okay, next week we won't even cover this lesson. I'm letting you know right now with just 3 minutes left. This lesson, we won't even cover it. We're going to just read it right now. We're going to read the rule right now. We don't need to read the examples. We're going to read the rule. يرفع الفعل المضارع إذا لم تسبقه أداة من أدوات النصب أو الجزم. The fi'l mudari is marfu'. Marfu'. If nothing appears before it from the particles of nasb or jazm. So our fi'l mudari is always going to be, it's always going to start out يذهبوا, right? يذهبوا, تذهبوا, right? All of that. Unless something comes before it, it's always going to be marfu'. If an, lan, idhin, or k come before it, it's going to become mansoob. If lam, la, nahiya, or in appear before it, it's going to be medzum. But in normal cases with nothing preceding it, it's going to be marfu'. So we don't even need to do that lesson. We know the fi'l mudari is going to be marfu' if there's none of those particles which change it. Meaning its origin is marfu'. But there could come something in front of it which makes it mansoob or medzum. Clear, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
And then we'll go over kana wa akhawatuha, inshallah ta'ala, which affects nominal sentences. We'll go over that, and then, hopefully, print out the book or buy the book online, look up the book online, buy it, and go over it if you don't want to print it out. Got about 40 seconds left. I'll leave you out with that. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والله يبارك فيك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Walaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.